Hello everyone, today I'm presenting Finpilot AI, an autonomous generative AI financial co-pilot designed to address real-world fintech disruption. I will cover the market opportunity, the product concept, the Gen AI architecture, the developmental roadmap, and the ethical and operational controls today. When talking about fintech disruption and market opportunity, financial services is at a structural inflection point driven by AI adaptation. AI is already transforming fraud detection, personalization, risk modeling, and compliance. The market reflects this shift, and AI in fintech is projected to grow from 8.23 billion in 2023 to over 61 billion by 2031, signaling large-scale institutional investment. Peer-reviewed research further shows that firms investing in AI experience statistically significant gains in innovation and firm overall value. The implication is clear. Competitive advantage is increasingly dependent upon embedding AI into decision systems directly into product architecture and company workflow. When looking at our problem statement, the core problem is fragmentation in retail finance. Financial decisions are spread across brokerage, budgeting, and tax tools that do not work together. Robo-advisors are mostly rules-based and slow to adapt to changing market conditions. Most platforms focus on one function at a time instead of delivering integrated, after-tax, risk-adjusted outcomes. The result is inefficient capital allocation and lower long-term performance. Finpilot AI functions as a regime-aware co-pilot embedded within brokerage workflows. It ingests real-time portfolio data, constraints, cash flows, and macro signals to ground decisions in both client objectives and market context. It runs forward-looking scenario simulations and optimizes portfolios for risk-adjusted and after-tax outcomes. A multi-agent framework embedded risk, tax, allocation, and compliance logic directly into the decision process. The result is explainable, governance-aligned recommendations delivered with institutional rigor. This slide outlines the layered architecture of Finpilot artificial intelligence as a structured financial reasoning engine. It begins with user goals and secure data ingestion, followed by retrieval augmented grounding to ensure validation financial context. A multi-agent framework separates risk, tax, allocation, and compliance logic next. Then we have the Monte Carlo simulation and constrained optimization stress test outcomes before generating auditable recommendations. This transforms generative artificial intelligence into a finance-grade decision system. This slide shows that artificial intelligence improvements are real and measurable. AI fraud models can detect about 30% more fraud than traditional rule-based systems, which directly reduces losses. Large banks like Bank of America are already using artificial intelligence at scale. Finpilot AI builds on these proven results and brings them into one unified financial decision system. Looking at the developmental roadmap, this slide shows how Finpilot AI scales in a controlled and disciplined way. We begin with a read-only version that provides insight but does not execute trades, allowing us to validate performance with minimal risk. Next, we introduce modular agents and audit logging to strengthen transparency and control. Only after testing do we enable limited execution within predefined guardrails and oversight. Finally, the system scales under full governance with ongoing monitoring for risk, bias, and compliance. The goal is to innovate quickly, but scale responsibly. Looking at the ethical, regulatory, and operational controls, this slide highlights the key milestones that make Finpilot AI viable at institutional scales. First, we validate the system through a staged read-only MVP to prove decision quality before enabling execution. Second, we followed a phased roadmap where each capacity is added only after meeting validation thresholds. Third, we built a scalable foundation with multi-agent logic, audit logging, and regulatory guardrails. Together, these milestones show that Finpilot is not just an idea. It is a structured, risk-aware product ready for institutional deployment. This slide explains how we validate performance before and after launch. We stress test the model using Monte Carlo simulations and different market regimens to measure tail risk and drawdowns. We run fairness and stability checks across user segments to reduce bias. Then, with execution is introduced only after predefined validation thresholds are met. And finally, ongoing monitoring tracks drift, errors, and performance changes to ensure long-term reliability. Finpilot AI sits between traditional robo-advisors and human advisors. Unlike robo-advisors, it adapts to changing market conditions instead of relying on static rules. Unlike human advisors, it scales efficiently without increasing costs. It also builds in institutional-grade risk controls, audit logs, and continuous monitoring. So the advantage is simple: adaptive intelligence, digital efficiency, and built-in governance, all working together. When talking about impact and KPIs, this slide defines success in measurable terms. We expect improved risk-adjusted and after-tax returns, stronger client trust through explainable recommendations, and lower cost to serve through scalable personalization. Risk performance improves through better fraud detection and reduced losses. And institutional sustainability is supported through audit logs, drift monitoring, and compliance controls. Together, these KPIs reflect financial, operational, and governance value creation. Finpilot AI addresses a structural gap in retail financial services by delivering adaptive, regime-aware decision intelligence at scale. It integrates large language models, retrieval-augmented generation, multi-agent systems, and simulation within a staged, governance-driven deployment roadmap. The result is scalable personalization supported by institutional-grade controls and measurable economic value.